no, it's too true, mate. Too true. Listen, forum Ipsum dolus sium, mate. Don't say
This is a podcaster in its natural habitat. See the cans of drink arrayed around the recording studio of still a remarkably expensive Shure SM78B as the microphone.
I reckon I could win a fight against any animal.
In the United Kingdom right now, bills are going through the roof. And while many people are focusing on the ills that causes the common working man and indeed small businesses who can no longer afford their rent in addition to their energy bills, a more hidden victim goes undiscussed. With more and more people cancelling their Patreon subscriptions in order to afford their bills, this country's podcasters are experiencing hardships unlike any other animal ever in the history of the world ever.
Yeah, fantastic. Remember to go to our Patreon.
For just £5 a month at killjamesbond.com/Patreon, you too can contribute to preserving this fascinating and completely useless species.
You hear what Andrew Tate said the other day on his podcast when he was on with Joe Rogan?
Alice, Abby, and Nate all have other ventures that get them money, but I am a useless little fuckhead. And if I can't have your money, I will die.
No, it's fucking... Let me pull it up, mate. Let me pull it up. It's absolutely mental. And he said this to him.
Please. If I have to get a real job, I'll die.
Have to choose someone else to face off against besides the Russians all the time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Kill James Bond. I am Alice Caldwell-Kelly, and joining me as always are my friends Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hi.
We're almost done with Jack Ryan, I promise.
Almost there,
Oh
baby.
my god.
It's getting to be a trial now. We watched The Sum of All Fears. They recast this fucker again.
Because it's a prequel.
It's a reboot as much as a prequel.
Yeah, because it's a prequel, but it's before Hunt for Red October, but also it's 2002.
Yeah. They cast Ben Affleck,
Batman.
a quite young Ben Affleck,
Young as hell.
as Jack Ryan.
Ben Affleck.
How cute is he? 11 out of 10, according to this film. Very kind of average-looking twink Ben Affleck.
12 out of 10,
Yeah.
actually, is the line.
12, I'm
Twink
sorry.
Affleck.
Unbelievable.
We don't start with Twink Affleck.
No.
We start in Israel.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Uh-oh, I'm going to get more weird messages on Reddit.
you may be familiar with the Yom Kippur War, where in 1973, Egypt and Syria invaded Israel, which led to its current borders when they won that war.
I got no strong opinions.
Depending on when you're listening to this podcast, of course.
and a helpful sort of like intertitle tells us that at the beginning of the war, it seemed as if Israel's ground forces were going to be overrun. And because they were risking being overrun and the existence of the state was threatened, Israel put up an F-4 fighter bomber jet armed with one nuclear bomb. And already, less than a minute in, we get to some historical revisionism, because this is not true. Israel, in order to force Nixon's hand into something called Operation Nickel Grass, which resupplied all of their losses and turned the war around for them, a very sort of noisily armed 13 nuclear warheads, including Jericho intermediate-range ballistic missiles targeted at Damascus and Cairo.
Wow.
Sounds less heroic when you put it like that.
Yeah. Also, like we see this jet go up with one nuclear bomb, and the soundtrack, it tells us that we're meant to feel that this is noble to potentially end all life on Earth, and also the pilot is distracted because he's looking at a picture of his family, so that we sympathize with the man who was prepared to fire a nuclear missile.
He was flying a nuke toward, like, not even Palestine. He was flying a nuke towards, like, Syria or Egypt. And
Yeah, Cairo. Yeah, it was the Golan Heights, so Syria.
yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, it would be towards Syria. But we're very early into this movie, and it's already done better than Israel ever has by admitting that they have nukes. Which is something that Israel has never formally admitted.
Yes.
One of the many things, actually.
Yeah. But because he's looking at a picture of his family like a sentimental little bitch, he gets owned.
Bitch made.
Syrian air defense just shoot him down with the surface-to-air missile. The plane comes down, the bomb comes down with it. And as we well know, nuclear weapons are in general designed to survive a plane crash. There's still one in a field in one of the Carolinas that a B-52 dropped there by accident.
Really?
Yeah. It's like fenced off now.
Why haven't they dug it out?
Just by a fence.
How strong's the fence? What are we talking here? Chain link?
Pretty weak. It literally is just a chain link fence and a sign that says "Do not enter nuclear weapon."
Why haven't they removed it?
I don't know. There's a couple that have like ended up in the ocean off the Canaries. There are a couple in Iceland. Like the U.S. Air Force has sort of dumped loose nuclear weapons across a few places.
Okay, we're back in a few days.
We can do this. We can.
Yeah, sending an email to the Gender Identity Clinic. Beginning, unless my demands are
I
met.
10,000 estrogen pills unmarked in a bag dropped off the coast of Burma.
But so we know that the bomb is still there, the plane is still there, and it's going to be forgotten about. It's going to be covered by the literal sands of time, right?
Executive producer Tom Clancy says the credits, which prompts me to ask: did he disavow this one?
He did.
Yes, he did.
This is a particular artifact of cinematic history. He recorded a DVD commentary track with the director.
Really?
And I didn't pull any drops from this because I couldn't find it, but I've seen transcripts of it. And in large part, it is him sort of bullying the director for various decisions that you need to do in order to adapt this fucking 800-page doorstopper into a film. And just going, yeah, it's bullshit. That wouldn't happen.
It's so good.
I love Tom Clancy. He's possibly the biggest piece of shit in the world.
And he's dead.
Yes, he is.
The man disavowed his own funeral.
Yeah, if you fail, Tom Clancy will disavow all knowledge of your activities.
And if you succeed.
So we go to present day 2002, Virginia, where the president and his entourage are being hurried to an underground command bunker at Mount Weather, where they are sort of confronted with the Russians having launched nuclear weapons, and we can kind of tell already, even before they admit it, that this is an exercise.
I was fooled.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
No,
I'm happy to admit it.
How could you tell?
Go on.
Because they're all very like practiced and unhurried and polished. He pulls out the little like card with the launch codes on it. He's like, "Yeah, my thing's second from the top. Go ahead and like launch on my order."
Well, I thought this was, as you would imagine it to be in a movie, and I like what they did with it later too.
I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it's good. We see the president order a retaliatory nuclear strike on Russia, which has like launched nuclear weapons against the US. But we do that basically in order to A, show you what the process is like, and B, show that the president is tough and decisive.
This scene is absolutely chock full of guys we like to see. So the president of the United States is James Cromwell, and my God, the US would be a better place if that were true. Morgan Freeman is there as director of the CIA.
Yes, yeah.
And also Philip Baker Hall is back. He's now defense secretary. In the previous film, he was attorney general, but he's still around, I guess, in this administration. Love to see him.
And we go through the whole process of him ordering the strike, which is, an Air Force guy opens the briefcase, the nuclear football, and sort of says, as part of the thing, an ID check must be performed. And under the two-man rule, a second ID check has to be performed, and two guys have to like read off the things from their ID cards and commit to the strike.
Have to commit to this program.
That's right.
Yes, yeah. The ID card thing, I don't know. He could just be making that up. It could just be an elaborate prank by the Department of Defense. It could say anything.
He's got the football. Who's going to argue?
Yeah,
I'd use a fingerprint scanner personally. But, all right.
In order to conduct the strike, a penis inspection must be performed.
Can't be faked. Yeah.
Second penis inspection also has to be performed.
Mr. President, let's see that hog.
Whip it out, big man.
Yes.
They use his like call sign for it as well.
Yeah. But so as the president gets his dick out, he is interrupted by a phone call from his wife.
Says, why are you getting your
telling
dick
him-
out?
Yeah, about some like wifely bullshit.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gotta go
Women.
because of my bitch wife. I can't do nuclear war today. I can't play
Gentlemen,
war
women
games.
be shopping.
That's true. And so they
The fucking like
They
Russia
call off the
attack drill
exercise.
being interrupted by the wife, full caps, is just very funny to me. It's like,
Yes.
wife, yet again, hate wife so much.
yeah. And we see him and
More like last lady.
Ugh.
him and Morgan Freeman, director Bill Cabot, walk out of the bunker, and it's kind of a joke to them. Cabot's like, we got to stop using just the Russians
Mhm.
for this. Which, hope you like the last hour of this movie, dude.
Mhm.
And he goes, well, listen, I'm not that worried about Russia. I'm worried about like the guy who has one nuclear weapon, not the guy who has like thousands and thousands.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. Also, the president pronounces it
Nuclear.
which
Yeah, very funny.
Nuclear.
Mm,
To be fair, there have been presidents who have done that.
that's
Oh, yeah.
true. That's true. This president, President Fowler, he's sort of like Clinton, I guess. Like, there's literally a Clinton joke in this movie as well.
He seems like a muscular liberalism guy. He was in Vietnam, wasn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. He says he was a Marine officer in Vietnam.
Mhm.
So he also sends Morgan Freeman to Russia to go see what the vibe is, to check the vibes of their guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, specifically, Morgan Freeman, we hear, is going to go to Russia to help oversee their decommissioning efforts. They're like, as I think Russia and the US have been for a few years, they've been like engaging in gradually decommissioning their nuclear arsenals and like helping each
Yeah,
other.
the
to
START
do it.
treaties and SALT 1 and SALT 2, sure. Yeah, we also see that the Russian president is sort of like a thinly veiled Yeltsin, right? He drinks too much, he's very unhealthy. And we cut to the CIA, and the CIA officer
CIA
where young
clowns.
Jack Ryan works. They really are CIA clowns in this because it's kind of like the fun locker room CIA. Like, they
Yeah.
have banter. They're like, oh, he's gaining weight because his suit doesn't fit so good. And they're speculating about which of his staffers are like having sex with each other.
Mhm.
And their boss, who is the only woman in the room, sort of wanders through and goes, "Yeah, find out who's fucking who. This is good information." And it's like,
Also,
Is
I'm
it?
pregnant because you know
Yes.
what women are like.
Women be like this.
it's not just that women be like this. It's like this that, you know, you as a man can have fun in the office, and then your boss, if she's a woman, is your mum.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And then also, like, is it good intelligence? Like, yeah, I guess it's worth looking at whether or not Yeltsin is gaining weight, but they're not looking at it. They're just, like, flexing on him. They're just going like, oh, he looks like a fat piece of shit right now.
Yeah, they're just owning Yeltsin in his comment section, which is totally uncalled for.
Yeah, it's like Enemy of the State. There's just a bunch of guys watching it and like riff tracking it.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, as with Enemy of the State, did the CIA not have anything else to do in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s?
Can't think of anything, no.
You
No, I don't
you
think
see
so.
all of their desks like covered with like files and stuff. It's like one of those says Bin Laden determined to strike inside the United States, and they're just like, look at this fucking piece of shit.
Then we see two things. One is that the nuclear weapon is found in the desert by two dudes. One of whom looks strikingly like Barry Chuckle, which is
Two-
very funny.
Two dudes
really
who look
good.
like Bedouin, which they aren't in the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
Imagine
I
if
don't know.
Barry Chuckle was part of the Bedouin.
Yeah, and the first thing this movie
Yeah.
wants you to know about Arabs is that they're stupid.
Yes. So they to me to you, and they drop the nuclear weapon, and it doesn't go up.
Yeah, and then sort of a hatch on it opens, and one of them like sticks his arm in there, just like, hey, it feels fucking warm in here. Probably not going to worry about that. That's not going to come back to bite me in like an hour of movie. Or
That's
so.
fine, I think. I think that's fine, probably.
Yeah, and they also want to sell it.
Yes, yeah, for scrap. The second thing that happens.
Is we see a guy.
Oh,
We see a fucking guy.
So we see a very nice, well-mannered, sort of like goateed European man. Looks a bit like sort of like Hans Gruber has aged about 20 years and put on some weight.
Hans Gruber got in the machine from The Fly with Eddie Izzard. Oh, like former
Yeah,
pre-transition Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, and he's giving like a lecture about U.S. foreign policy and Russian foreign policy in Chechnya. He has one of what are a number of baffling lines in this movie where he says that Chechnya is
like a beautiful virgin.
and is also part of Europe, and that Europe should have an independent destiny, and rather than like being caught in between the US and Russia. And what happens is when he starts talking about Europe having independence and Europe being sort of like a power in its own right, sinister music starts, like kind of like.
This is so funny.
We pan around the podium,
Oh my
around the
God.
lectern that he's lecturing from, and we see that he's taken off his watch. He's left his watch on the thing, and on the back of the watch is a fucking engraved swastika.
So good.
And when this happened, I had to pause the movie for about 15 minutes just to sort of like put my head in my hands, really reflect on this, and then go find all of the bits in the OSS movies where the Nazis just put swastikas in places and post them in the group chat.
Not since we did Lupin the Third have we run into a Nazi quite so surprisingly.
Yeah, an unexpected
You're
Nazi.
talking
And
about Adolf Hitler.
I think it's not
it's-
great for us just sort of psychologically for every time we see a Nazi in one of these movies, we sort of start cheering. Like, they're doing the
It's like,
Nazi
there
thing
he is.
again.
When I saw
Let's
Hitler,
go.
I stood up and clapped.
Stood up and
Um,
clapped.
But I suppose it is. I have seen like actual real life Nazis use this dog whistle of like Europe must have our own destiny and like Europe needs to be strong and stuff. So it's not that bad. We'll talk a little bit later on, I think, about the portrayal of Nazis in this film when they get to their secret Spectre meeting.
This is the fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
very
God,
much.
I cannot wait.
We actually got this the wrong way around. What happens is we get the Nazis first, and then we get the Arabs are stupid scene. So what we do is we go directly from Hitler 2 to like desert Arabs and how stupid this movie thinks they are.
Hitler 2.
yes.
It's like,
Oh no.
yeah, they just said that's a new Hitler. His name is literally Dressler.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. They just announced Hitler 2.
Yo.
Just Hitler 2 destruct.
yeah. So
New
we
Hitler.
also have to see that Jack Ryan, because he's young in this one, he's not married to his wife Kathy yet.
He's
They're
too
dating,
young.
and so we have to see that Jack Ryan fucks.
Yeah, Jack Ryan fucks.
Jack Ryan.
He
Fucks.
Jack Ryan fucks Bridget Monahan, which, damn.
Yeah.
Hello.
The fact that they try to have some sort of like relationship drama midway through this, but there's absolutely no way to sell it because you know these two get married.
Yeah.
It's like,
Also, this gets to another beef I have with this, which is that Ben Affleck is too young.
He is.
He's an okay actor now, but he wasn't then. He's not a good enough actor yet. is
Yeah,
the
he's
thing.
definitely like aged into his casting, I think.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like,
'Cause you can do that when you're
she
a man.
confronts him with the thing about like, oh, you actually love me and we're gonna get married, and he's like, acting.
Do you remember this? Do you remember that bit in The Rock where the girlfriend is like, "You want to get married to me?" I feel like that's the only
Yeah.
story that movies from this era can tell. Is like, "Oh, my girlfriend like wants to be really serious, but I'm just a guy. Oh, geez, I gotta save the world."
Yeah, that's yeah.
So we get a
Women.
quick Yeltsin joke,
Women.
which is Yeltsin is at the Kremlin. He's like, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. I am very healthy, and then instantly drops down dead of too much vodka.
This one's genuinely like really funny. They grade it like it's a fucking like black and white show, and it's shot like one as well. So when he dies, he's like at the bottom of a staircase, and the shot is him at the bottom of the staircase up, and then the person he's talking to like on the next level, and it's at a slightly Dutch angle. It's like it's a perfect pastiche of that kind of shot. And as Mr. Color grading, I just be like, colors.
Yeah.
I'll do this again later.
Him dying precipitates Ryan being called into work on an emergency. He hasn't told his girlfriend that he works for the CIA. He's told her that he's a historian.
I haven't told my girlfriend I work for the CIA either. to be honest.
Yeah.
Largely because I don't have one. I'm single to facilitate a parasocial relationship.
Yeah, we're all single.
That's
We're all
right.
single.
That's
We
right.
love you,
Yeah.
the audience, the most of all.
All of us.
Of
You
course.
specifically.
You, the person listening to this.
So she's
Tell
she's
the
like, why the fuck do you have a pager? Where are you going? What kind of what work emergency does a historian have? But he's out the door. He's out the door, and he's experiencing a sort of a religious experience I like to call the analyst's joy, which is going out on a weird one, taking a slightly sort of off-kilter prediction and being fucking right. Ryan has written this paper, which apparently no one has read, about the succession to the Russian presidency if Yeltsin goes. And he has picked out his guy, a guy called Nemerov. And no one believes him, no one reads him, no one cares. But he's fucking right.
Every single analyst spends their entire life dreaming about this happening, no matter what.
Yes, yeah. And as a result, as a reward, he gets to hang out with replacement James Earl Jones.
Yeah, prequel James Earl Jones, Morgan Freeman.
Yes, yeah. They literally just got a different sort of older black statesman actor, and I was just do the same role.
I didn't realize that these weren't the same characters until Morgan Freeman died later on, and then I was like, oh, okay, I guess he's not James Earl Jones. All right.
Yeah, quite genuinely, I thought it was a try to be the same character thing. Did not even for a second consider.
The next, I would say, half an hour of this movie is essentially Morgan Freeman delivering lines like,
"You're about to breathe air that's way over your pay grade, so listen up."
What the fuck does that
Jack
mean?
Ryan.
Yeah.
It means I have to steal a guy's shirt and tie and suit jacket and put them on you. I have to dress you because you're a child.
I liked it when Harrison Ford Jack Ryan was kind of a bit of a geek, and I don't believe that Ben Affleck is a geek. He's a different kind of inattentive. He's oh, I'm just too cool and afraid of commitment to have a tie and a jacket, whereas Harrison Ford was just oh, I don't know what tie to wear. It's different vibes. I liked Harrison Ford, but he felt more put upon.
Yeah,
I think this is just what's been happening to protagonists throughout the last couple of decades.
There's a similar vibe with age too. I don't really like, and I'll see if I still feel this when we do the sort of new one, but I don't really like a young Jack Ryan.
No.
I like him being young for the room. I like him being the only guy who's still in his 30s or 40s in a room full of 60-year-olds. That's good for the character to me, but
but slightly too old to be doing the action man shit.
Yes,
nice.
yes.
Anyway, Morgan Freeman takes him to the intelligence committee, and they have a really cool secure room where they press a button and the glass turns frosted. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I think
want
that's
that.
They made a skiff a cool glass cube instead of just a room where a bored guy takes your phone off you. Movies are amazing.
That's cinema, baby. That's Kino. That's the magic of the silver screen.
The chairman of the intelligence committee wants two things. He wants to know what Nemirov's deal is, and he also wants to deliver an incredible line. He wants to get up there in front of them and say,
"This morning, my wife woke up and said that I was old, bald, and ugly."
Anyway, what about Russia?
He genuinely he delivers that line. There's just a long pause, and Morgan Freeman's was that a question? Or,
yeah.
Just what are you doing, man?
He gets up and he's release my wife. But yeah, and also that's on the record now. That's staying forever.
There's also a sort of a running joke here. We see the president's done it earlier. We didn't mention it at the time, which is politicians can't get Russian names right. This guy calls him Nemzov, and they keep putting weird Z's in there that don't belong. And I feel that this reveals some politics about this movie, which is in real life.
Oh no,
elected politicians are very stupid. We agree this. We know this. We've all seen Liz Truss. However, when a movie about the CIA makes the standpoint, all of these guys are idiots and they need the CIA to fucking tell them how to pronounce a relatively straightforward name, that's ideology happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the CIA are also morons, fools, jokers of the highest caliber.
Yeah, jesters.
Yes.
Couldn't even kill
Absolutely.
Fidel Castro.
God, they really couldn't.
I had to do it for them and make it look like old age. It couldn't even stop me from stealing all these old nuclear weapons.
I was the one who they sent in to kill him, who just immediately got seduced. That was me.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Happens to the best of us.
We get to another one of the traits of Ryan as a character that I actually really like, which is he is pathologically unable to shut the fuck up in a meeting.
Yeah,
I do. I respect this a great deal.
It was good in Hunt for Red October. It's good here too.
Because the chair of the intelligence committee is yo, Nemerov sounds like a bad guy. He's probably going to fuck shit up in Chechnya. And Ryan is whispering in Morgan Freeman's ear yo, Nemerov actually rules. I read a paper on him. He's sick. He's nice.
Met
Don't
him
worry
at a
about
charity
it.
do
I met
one
him at a
time,
party
down
once.
to earth.
Surprisingly
Yeah,
funny, yeah.
Mhm.
And Morgan
Great
Freeman's like,
kisser.
shut the fuck up, dude.
Thick hog, too.
Yeah, he like leans back and he's like whispering, you know, when I said I wanted your advice, I didn't mean you had to actually speak. And it's just like you can feel the embarrassment coming off of that. It's really good.
Yeah.
Also, two things. Morgan Freeman then, in immediate succession, in fact, flirts with two dudes. He flirts with the senator because he goes, "What? Well, I don't care about what your wife said. I don't think you're ugly. Looking kind of nice with it, actually." And
hot.
then,
Looking good, King.
Wow.
yeah, and then he takes Ben Affleck outside and he's like, "So you fuck your girlfriend with that dick?" Essentially.
Yeah.
And Affleck is like, Ryan is like surprised that he knows who his girlfriend is, forgetting that he works for the CIA.
Yeah,
Also, it's on
not
Facebook.
100%.
Yeah,
I suppose so.
you would have had to have filled out a form to be like, "Hey, can I have sex with this woman, please?"
Yeah, because of the goddamn woke college students these days.
Yeah,
Am I right?
Yeah, an informed consent form. Yes,
we actually make our employees sign that form also here at KJV.
that's right.
We don't have it.
Additionally, there's me. Additionally, all the three of us is what I mean, and our employees. There's a line earlier on where someone mentions that that Jack Ryan is a CIA analyst because he was in the Marines and hurt his back. And first of all, hell yeah, man, absolutely. Sometimes you just hurt your back. But also,
Sure.
how fucking old were you when you were in the Marines? This dude is like 12 in this movie.
Yeah. He's actually Robin from Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I think that you have to compress this timeline more and more so that, like, I read this somewhere. I have no idea if it's true. I'm excited if I'm borne out by this at all. But in the new ones, he like got injured. He didn't even like make it out of the Naval Academy before he like hurt his back.
And you know what? Once again, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I fully understand. Sometimes you just hurt your back and you're like,
sometimes you get up wrong, you know? You're sitting in a chair and you get up a bit too quickly and now you can't be in the Marines anymore. It happens to a lot of
sometimes
people.
you wake up in the morning and you turn your head a little too fast and you're like, oh, my neck, I'm going to have to stay completely motionless for 48 hours.
Yeah, I'm going to have to not be in the Marines anymore. At this point, we get a scene that is literally just rom-com. It's sort of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, where Morgan Freeman is like, so, you know, what's your girlfriend like? And he goes, oh, I'm so in love with her, but she's so afraid of commitment. Cut to her working at the hospital where she's like, but he's so afraid of commitment. And I don't know what he does for a living because he works in Washington, D.C. He keeps getting paged at weird hours of the morning. He says he's a historian, but that's clearly not true.
I wonder what he does.
Whenever he gets paged, it like coincides with major world news events.
This woman's a doctor. Just put it together.
Yeah, she's a very busy woman. She's too busy to make deductions of this kind. I think it's something that no one really understands without having like been there or lived there or, you know, known people who have, how much DC is like a small company town. And if you work for the CIA, everyone fucking knows that. It's just everyone's like, yeah, sure, historian, okay. It's stupid. Anyway, so we have their sort of romance set up, and now we have to learn some more about Arabs.
Yes.
So we already learned that Arabs are stupid. Now we have to learn that Arabs are easily cheated because they're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true.
A mysterious white guy named Olsen is like inspecting the bomb.
He's Dirk van der Klerk. He's a white South African guy.
Yeah.
He fully is Dirk van der Klerk. There's a line later on where Ryan goes,
"What's a South African doing in the Ukraine?"
I was doing a little job.
It's a little bit of work, don't worry about it.
Cancelled for saying the Ukraine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Zelensky's going to be really, really upset about that after he's done banning people from unionizing. Anyway,
taking photo shoots in Vogue.
So he buys the nuke off of them, but he cheats them. He's like, oh, this is worthless junk, but because your son was killed in the war, I'll give you $400 for it.
And then he sells it to the Nazis for $50 million. And it's quite funny because as he's doing this, he's watching Antiques Roadshow, which I thought was quite,
so funny to be a black market guy just watching Antiques Roadshow in your hotel room.
Incidentally, the Antiques Roadshow that he's watching goes,
I found her in the attic of an old mansion house in an old part of Glasgow.
So, you know, Glasgow
That's
man.
very funny to have Antiques Roadshow happening under sinister music.
Yes. Yeah. This is the other thing I love about Olsen is that Olsen is so happy in his work.
Yeah.
Every single scene, he's like smiling. He's humming a little aria to himself. He's having a nice time.
He dies happy.
He's got a beautiful
he's loving
apartment in Damascus. He's thriving, being an international weapons smuggler.
He probably retired off this shit. 50 million in 2002 was like a shit ton of money.
Yeah, for sure. As opposed to now, where it's nothing.
You could probably
It's
pay
like
your
my
energy bills for a
heating
few
bill.
weeks on that. Maybe you could buy half a flat.
So Ryan has been dragged to Russia to go with this meeting, the CIA inspection.
There's a funny scene
tour
on the
of
plane
nukes.
where he's calling his girlfriend like, no, honestly, honey, I had an emergency as a historian. And Morgan Freeman's like, just tell you work for the CIA. And he's like, well, gosh, honey, I work for the CIA and I gotta go to Russia to decommission nuclear weapons. And she hangs up and Morgan Freeman's like, you fucking dipshit.
Yeah, this is deeply funny. I really enjoyed that.
I love interfering in the private lives of my employees.
Yeah. So they meet the new president, who is Kieran Hines,
A guy that we
another
love
guy
to
we
see.
loved. We love to see it. We should start keeping count of the guys that we love to see, because this movie has a decent number of them.
For like exactly 0.1 of a second when he turned around the first time, I thought it was Alan Rickman, and I was about to go ape shit. But this is a
that
phenomenal
would've been so
consolation
good.
prize to me.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So the thing about Kieran Hines is that he does most of his lines in Russian. His Russian is worse than mine. It's atrocious.
Ugh.
I
was
He
convinced.
is fully like Russian Guyevich, but he tries like intimidating Ryan a little bit, or fucking with him a little bit by being like, your thing was wrong because I don't actually fuck that much. Also, I'm going to go through an interpreter for this whole conversation. And Ryan calls his bluff because he knows he speaks English. And this initiates a sort of like mob movie like thing of, hey, I like this guy kind of
Yeah.
thing. With a lot of slapping on the back.
Hey, I'm friends with the Russian president over here. And then he has
I do think it's nice that the Jack Ryan series has now learned how to cast Irish actors. It's just
Yes.
they're making them play Russians.
Couldn't have used them for anything else, but it's fine.
They weren't available. All of them were off on
That's
holiday
the
when they were
thing.
trying to make Patriot games. It's a shame.
So then
Yeah.
President Nemerov has a very frank conversation with Morgan Freeman, where Morgan Freeman's like, yo, what's the deal with Chechnya? And Nemirov's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. He says that Chechnya is,
Yeah.
quote, a nation of criminals. And Morgan Freeman's like, okay, sick, cool.
I think this
Yeah.
is just
And,
deeply funny to imagine reversed, right? Like a new president gets elected and the head of the SVR comes by with a bunch of guys and is like, what are you thinking about doing with Louisiana? Tell me now.
What is deal with Puerto Rico?
Explain to me now, please. It's just interesting.
Explain Hawaii to me. But so yeah, the vibe here is interesting because we know that Ryan's contention is that Nemerov is basically a good guy.
Yeah.
And he's not a hardliner. And in fact, he is trying to navigate between the hardliners in the military who might just coup him otherwise. And the vibe here is very much like inside this Russian, there is an American trying to get out.
Yes.
That's something that Tom Clancy loved doing. I think that's maybe one of the only aspects of this movie he wouldn't have disavowed.
He did that with Captain Ramius as well in Hunt for Red October.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah, very much.
Because he
It's
wasn't Russian, he was Lithuanian.
To get his pushy
occasionally
surgery.
you need a guy to be able to reach across the aisle by going, I realize that you also want to be American.
Mhm. And I do.
I realized
Yeah.
that you fucked in college, but only for the first 2 years.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
For that,
Yeah.
we're now buds. We're mates.
So they also see his weird shadow guy, a guy called Grushkov,
Yeah.
who we're told is an old KGB guy.
Another guy we
who-
love to see because it's Michael Byrne.
Love him.
Ah, okay.
Love this
Fantastic.
actor. Another veteran of the Sharp series, which we'll have to get to at some stage.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sort of he's mostly around to sort of be knowing and kind of monk-like.
Yeah, so they go to the nuclear decommissioning facility, and Ryan's like, hey, there's 3 guys on your staff list who aren't here, and Michael Byrne's like, don't worry about it. They are all out to lunch now.
Yes, all out to lunch at the same place. I've gone to Greg's.
They are all
worry
getting
about it.
pizza.
Vegan sausage roll.
Morgan Freeman's like, yo, these 3 guys are the exact guys you would need to build a bomb, and they're all missing. The Russians don't know where they are.
Yeah, so here's my major point of contention with that. Why is it of note that 3 of the scientists working in the Russian nuclear weapons decommissioning facility have specialisms related to nuclear weapons? I think they all do,
They
actually.
all should, yeah.
I think
These are the guys that you need to build a bomb. Everyone else is just fucking
the
jerking
other
each other off.
14 guys fully extraneous. Just
Yeah, they actually all work in the catering department. Yeah.
The other thing I like about this is Morgan Freeman, his character, he has a moment where he steps in the front door of this nuclear weapons thing. He's like, sort of long-time veteran Cold Warrior, being like, I sent 3 guys to their deaths trying to infiltrate this place, and I just walked in the front door.
It's a nice moment.
I
actually,
really
yeah.
like that. It's nice sort of ties of history thing.
another nice moment is one of the scientists is wearing a shirt that they get him to translate, and it's just like this guy's wearing a shirt to work that says, I am a nuclear scientist. If you see me running, try to catch up. And it's another one of those classic, like, humanizing things that they love to do for the Russians, yeah.
That moment with Morgan
Good.
Freeman kind of ties into the theme of the film, which is like old fears from the past, in particular the kind of fears that are encoded into military technology will come back to haunt you. It's quite nice.
Yeah, fully. So we see a very happy bomb smuggling guy put the bomb in a crate, shipping it out of Haifa in Israel. And then we come back to the United States and we meet, I think, my favorite casting yet, sort of very noir detective John Clark, played by Liev Schreiber. He's standing there in the rain without an umbrella, waiting for Morgan Freeman.
It's good.
He's just being sort of very grumpy. Like Morgan Freeman's like, "Well, how's your Russian?" He's like, "Still works."
Yeah,
It's
it's
just like-
cool.
it's-
actually.
It's really
Mhm.
it's good. I think it's like he does some of the best acting in this movie. But he's like, okay, go to Russia, find out where these guys are. Also, I need your tickets to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And it's very funny to imagine this kind of John Clark, this kind of like very sort of dour guy being excited to go and see, I don't know, Stephen Colbert at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
This is the guy that Willem Dafoe was playing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So instead, Ryan gets to go with his girlfriend, who presumably now believes that he's CIA because
Yeah.
Yeah, because Morgan Freeman is like wingmanning him now. He's like, okay, you got to make up with your girlfriend by taking her to the hottest event in town, the White House Correspondents'
you've got to
Dinner.
take her to a swimming pool, Jack Ryan, so that you can see her without makeup. Females are always trying to trick us, man.
It's called peacocking, Ryan. You gotta put
Fascinating
on like
individual called Andrew Tate. Have you heard of him? Right.
What happened?
you're drinking still water.
The White House press correspondence dinner is the weirdest fucking event in the world, as far as I'm
What is
concerned.
it?
So
Weird
you
vibes.
get all of these dudes together, and then the president of the United States does amateur stand up for an hour,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone
it
has to
fully
be
is
like,
just that.
"Great, well done, Mr. President." And they show us a clip of it happening, and it's just as like Jesus Christ as you'd imagine.
Yeah. Although I do get the drop
Smoke marijuana.
out of it.
Nice.
And pussy too.
Drugs.
But so this is mostly in, so we get the shot of someone comes up to tell the president something very important, and everybody's pages go off.
I love that
Yeah, that
shot.
was a
I
good
love
shot.
that trope. Actually, it's really fun. I love it when movies do that.
So some more gender happens because all of the men in their tuxedos get up and run, and like all of the women are just like left behind.
There is a lot
to
of
be,
gender
like,
in this film.
to talk girl
Yeah,
stuff.
the
Yeah.
women immediately shout "Girls' Night," which is nice though. I think
Yeah.
that was good.
For sure.
Yeah, it's fucking weird, man. I don't know. I really didn't like this movie.
Yeah.
I think.
No, but we got to have some more situation room.
getting
And
to
so
it.
what happens is the Russians have deployed earlier than this was publicly much talked about Novichok nerve agent in Grozny and just used chemical weapons and killed a shitload of people. This leads to some insane ideas for how America could or should respond to this, which culminates in begin provisional diplomatic representation of Chechnya and then deploy NATO peacekeepers to Chechnya, the same country that the Russian military is fighting a war in, through Turkey and Armenia.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
One of the advisors asks a question about this, like, you think Armenia's gonna
Just
like
like,
go
really?
for this? And someone just goes, yeah, probably. It'll screw over the Russians. They'll do it. And knowing that this was like the same amount of forethought that went into like NATO involvement in the Balkans as well, just, oh my God.
Yeah, it's vibes. It's vibes. Anyway, the president's like, well, okay, we got to respond to the Russians hardcore big style. Nemirov's clearly gone too far. I would feel like a real dipshit if I was a Nemirov apologist. And Jack Ryan stands up and he's like, yo, based on vibes, I believe that Nemirov is not behind this, but that actually this is some rogue generals. Like, you don't really know this is really Nemirov. And then Nemirov immediately gets on the news and is like, what's up, it's your boy Nemirov, I did it.
What's up,
he stakes...
It's your boy.
he stakes his reputation on it again. He's like, he's not Russian, he's Lithuanian.
Immediately, like 2 minutes later, Nemirov appears on the news and is like, hey, I definitely did this. I ordered chemical weapons in Chechnya. I did it.
You get like such a classic shit of everyone be like, nice one, dickhead. Like, you even get someone like in the background, just be like, nice work, man. Just like,
yeah.
all right. Ooh. And then obviously to allay the audience, we immediately cut to Nemirov speaking to his boy and being like, it's just better if I just say I did it, you know.
He has a good line here, which is, it's better to appear guilty than impotent, which explains a lot of foreign policy more generally, I feel.
Yeah.
On the other hand, this is also the ultimate expression of sort of the 90s fantasy of like Russians are just Americans trying to get out from the inside.
There's also a very, very interesting moment where one of the advisors, I think, says to the president, well, the Russians are doing the classic thing the Russians always do, which is do something outrageous and dare the world to stop you. And I was like,
Interesting. It's one of those things, like, you're not wrong, but you shouldn't be the one pointing it out.
Much like the thing about like elected officials being stupid. Anyway, now we've got to have possibly one of my favorite genres
this
of
is
scene.
The best scene in the fucking movie, hands down.
That's
it comes from a different movie. This is from fucking Spectre.
I greeted this scene, like, if you had like a fucking electrocardiogram or something, you could see the exact same bodily responses as like seeing my dog after a long period of absence. I was like,
pupils dilate when looking at something you love.
It's my boy.
Never thought I'd miss James Bond.
Right?
Once I recognized this scene for what it was, immediately. So we're meeting, we're in Hitler 2's conference room.
That's right.
With his boys, Goebbels 2, Himmler 2, Bormann 2, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And also the token, like, big guy, the Mongo.
They've got a Mongo.
They've got a Mongo.
He's got a henchman.
They've got a Mongo. This is the best day of my fucking life, dude.
Mongo's here. We got a Mongo, everybody.
Called Haft. Another just one word. Perfect.
So Hitler 2 goes, is the bomb in place? Someone else goes, yes. And a third guy coughs and shuffles his feet a bit. And I immediately go, it's the we've got to kill this guy right now kind of meeting.
Yes.
This guy is getting dropped into a fucking shark tank.
Can I opt out of the doomsday plan, please? Oh yes, certainly.
Absolutely.
Just go ahead and like, please touch your hand to this metal exit plate.
Oh, it's metal
Will you
plate and
help
all.
the gentleman with his coat?
It's literally the fucking scene where like they drop that guy out of the blimp in View to a Kill.
Yes.
It's a perfect scene.
Yeah.
All the boys are together. They're like, we're all agreed we're going to do evil, right? And one guy goes, maybe we shouldn't do the evil. And you can see it cuts from person to person, one close-up shot each of them fully all going, this motherfucker's dead as hell. It's so good. It's so good.
Extra bonus thing, the guy who wants out is French. He's the only French guy in this movie. He's like, perhaps it is time to, how you say, surrender. And all the German guys go, like, right.
It's like, as a Frenchman, I am uneasy about working with the Nazis.
I'm uneasy about working at all.
Also, it is very interesting that this film is like, okay, Nazis in the 21st century are a problem. And yes, correct, they are. It's interesting that they are like, okay, Nazis in the 21st century are an international group of like secretive men in suits. There's not, they don't really, they do kind of name check and mention a sort of fascist street movement. But they are kind of it's mainly kind of like a conspiracy of elites, really, which I thought was interesting. In some ways kind of prescient and in some ways off the mark.
I want to highlight that exact thing, right? Because when this movie came out in 2002, the neo-Nazis were sort of replaced. In the actual book, it was Arab terrorists of various flavors. But in
Arab terrorists and one Native American man, yes.
Fascinating.
Tom
Just
Clancy is
absolutely fascinating.
insanely racist.
But like Roger Ebert awarded this film 3.5 out of 4 stars. He said specifically, he was like, the use of neo-Nazis is just like bullshit, man. There's no fucking Nazis anymore, idiot, loser. Like, he fully... His one major criticism was using neo-Nazis, and we're like, no, they're back.
In fairness, there's a lot of dumbasses involved because the director made the decision to switch it from Palestinian terrorists to neo-Nazis. And the reason why he did this is because he didn't think that Islamist terrorists could conduct an attack inside the United States.
Released in 2002, but they were, So as you know, it's developed before.
Wow, I mean, that's so weird.
Crazy.
That's really a bizarre series of coincidences. Because something that I found quite interesting is later on, skipping ahead a little bit because it's not that bad, is Hitler 2 does a live stream. When he talks about how, like, Hitler 1 sucked ass. Like, Hitler was a fool. He didn't have the technology available at the time. He didn't have mass communication. He didn't take advantage of, like, mass media the way that we do now. And I was like, fuck, like, this film is kind of weirdly prescient about modern fascism in a weird way.
In some ways. But so we go to the port of Baltimore, where there's a big room full of chains, the big chain room. And one weird, nervous-looking guy walks in.
Send word to our undercover guy, the most suspicious man of all time.
Yeah, he looks like an immediately forthcoming workplace shooter. But the other thing is, a guy tries to make friends with him, and the guy who tries to make friends with him is black. And I don't know any black man in America who would see a skinny white guy with creepy tattoos that he doesn't want to talk about the tattoos or show you the tattoos and go, best friends time.
That's my boy right there.
He checks in on his blokes, and I hope this guy survived what happens later in this film. Because this guy is one of the only unambiguously nice characters we see.
Yeah, he really does try. But the thing about the tattoos, I thought that was leading to a sort of Wayne Grow moment, a sort of American History X moment, where we would see the sleeve go up and you'd see the fucking swastika. But we don't. Instead, what we see is that this guy receives his orders from like Hitler@gmail.com, being like, it's time to do some shit.
It's time for terrorism. Activate. Go.
John Clark finds the missing scientists in Ukraine. Or the Ukraine, as this film calls it, and basically gives all the evidence to Morgan Freeman, and Morgan Freeman's like, holy shit, Nemerov is building a secret nuke off the books so that he can use it and nobody's going to know it's him, probably going to use it in Chechnya. And Ben Affleck's like, no, Nemerov's my boy, he's not going to do it. Then they do the classic thing that they always do to Jack Ryan, which is like, well, you better go out there and fucking investigate it. So go to Russia.
Yeah, your classic sort of rigmarole of, but I'm not a field guy, versus you have to. Okay then. Take this tactical Palm Pilot and go hang out with John Clark. And John Clark sort of like bullies him a bit.
It's quite fun. He makes fun of him for thinking that he's James Bond.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
There's a bit when they get off the boat to go infiltrate the place where they're building the bomb, and Ryan's like, I'm not going in there, and Clark just goes, yeah, of course you're not. You're staying here to make sure no one steals the boat.
Yeah, his line is relax, 007, which is quite good. John Clark also has fence melting spray, which is what I'm going to need to steal that nuclear bomb from that field. And also, I knew that this would bug you as much as it bugged me, Alice. He finds broken glass all over the floor of the labs as he's infiltrating it, and instead of ghost walking, he just walks on the glass.
Yeah, insane.
Idiot. Fool.
He goes in to find all of the scientists dead, being eaten by dogs. And this is a problem I have with most movies. The kind of dogs that you get to act, they're, by definition, they're too nice to be frightening. So you get like a stage animal to try and look aggressive, and it looks like it's playing because it thinks it is.
Yeah, it's always so deeply funny where they've got like a German Shepherd or something, and it's doing the thing where it's like baring its teeth and licking a lot, and you can see in its eyes, but it's just like, oh boy, I'm doing it again. Wee, and they're putting the noise of like an angry dog over it or something. It's always so good.
Yeah. But so some Ukrainian soldiers show up, and John Clark gets himself into a pickle. He gets held at gunpoint by these two guys, and Ryan has to go and attempt to rescue him. But we see that Clark is like dangerous because he's about to kill both these guys by himself. And it's actually kind of handled quite well. He like pretends to like not understand them and like to only speak English, and he's like shining a flashlight in their eyes, and we don't actually see that he's holding the gun until he's like it's in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then Ryan comes up behind them, and Clark's like, shoot these guys. And Ryan doesn't. He forces them to surrender instead, which is, a nice bit of character moment.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like, he has the magic ability to speak Ukrainian because, he's smart.
Yeah. But he does call it the Ukraine, and then it's therefore cancelled.
He does, because he is asking, what's Jerk Vanderklark doing in the Ukraine? And what Jerk Vanderklark is doing in the Ukraine is...
Oh, just a little bit of business. Don't worry about it.
It's fitting this bomb into we don't know this yet, but into a vending machine. So at this point, we now get the Nazi vlog.
Yes,
because we see this
really like solidly put together scene. Although it's very funny that his assessment of why fascism is good is that fascism is like a virus (brackets positive).
There's a really weird bit where he's like, fascism is like a virus, specifically like the AIDS virus.
Fascism's
and then
gay as hell, yo.
The workplace shooter-looking guy uncrating this big vending machine and rolling it into place in Baltimore.
Yes, very odd. But also he has the same plan that fucking Blofeld had from Russia with Love. He's like, we will make the Russians and the United States destroy each other. And also this is the same plan from fucking You Only Live Twice, which is the nuclear weapon and then fascism time?
Yeah, Chinatown.
Yeah, it's you simply create a nuclear exchange that probably makes the entire Earth uninhabitable, and then it's party time.
That's right.
Specifically, National Socialist Democratic Workers or German Workers' Party time. Get the D mixed up. Anyway, but we see the Budweiser blimp, we see the president's motorcade arriving, and we see that the Nazis are coming for the most America thing of all: football.
This is unbelievable. There's just like a whole series of shots. Footed ball. They're at a football game, baby. Oh,
they've got cheerleaders. One of America's best cultural contributions.
It's true. Need to invent femboy cheerleaders, though. That's my only opinion about that.
Oh, nice.
The other
patented, copyright pending.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jack Ryan is like trying to phone him and be like,
a half hour of this fucking movie is like trying to get your dad on his mobile.
They're literally like phoning him up and they're like, Mate, there's a fucking nuclear weapon, and like he's there like, I'm at a football game, can't hear you, sorry.
Football.
Must not be important, and just like hangs up on him 2 times. Like
Cabot's like there with the president. The president he doesn't even get a box. He's just like in the stands too, so nobody can hear anybody.
I'm sorry, but listeners, one of our listeners who is on TikTok is going to invent femboy cheerleader outfit, and it's just going to get like fucking millions of views. I'd still hung up on that.
Yeah, that's true.
Guarantee it exists.
You think we can get femboy cheerleaders for the next live show? Not for any particular reason. I just want that. Anyway, he keeps calling Morgan Freeman. He keeps calling Morgan Freeman. It's a Martin Freeman.
He
keeps calling Morgan Freeman during football again, which famously doesn't have a lot of little breaks for you to check your phone.
People are yelling all the time during the football. Is the thing about football?
Defense, things of this nature.
Come on,
and so
England.
Morgan Freeman is just about able to piece together. Bomb directly under your ass now.
Bane has destroyed the stadium.
It's so much fucking funnier than that because like the reveal isn't.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he says Baltimore, and he stands up in front of a big sign that says "Welcome to the Baltimore." Because
so
this movie
funny.
Thinks you are an
That's where
idiot.
The Baltimore is.
It's so funny.
That's
it's like,
where they
he's in
keep
for
it.
Baltimore. No, they're like, there's a nuclear bomb at Baltimore, and he stands up, and the shot is him in like a corner and a massive sign.
There's like a huge pile of Old Bay Spice directly in the camera light.
So fucking good. So good. And then, in response to that, he realizes that the attack is going to be happening at that game, and he looks around, and you get like a full minute of just montage of America that is under threat. It's like cheerleaders, there are kids in the stand, there are MILFs, there are women.
It's going to vaporize the femboy cheerleaders and the MILFs.
They're going to obliterate the femboy.
Oh, no.
And they get the president out of there ASAP.
Yeah, under the big sign that says, "It seems you've made another mistake by coming to Baltimore." But also, it does the thing that Air Force One does.
It's a good sign.
It does the Air Force One thing again, where the Secret Service presidential detail is 2 guys.
Yeah.
And those 2 guys grab the president and run for the limo.
Okay, it's like, why aren't they in a box? But whatever. And I was like, I didn't think they'd have the fucking balls. I didn't think they'd do it. But they fully nuke that stadium in this movie.
They fully do
the
it.
Nuke
They fully
goes off.
The way they do it, I like the way they do it. Actually,
Good.
which is
It's really good.
We cut to Kathy at work. She's like checking in. It's normal. The TV screen is on. It's got like no, it's fine. So the football men are upset, and the screen goes white. And 100th of a second later, you see the bomb. The flash reaches them, blows out all the windows, throws everybody across the room because they're like across the city.
And it's fucking devastating. Like they just the city of Baltimore is just like completely fucking taken out by a nuclear bomb. And I was like really affected by this scene. It was like it's quite powerfully done. I mean, I know we haven't spoken to each other in quite a long time, but I never thought it would end like this. You know.
Well, so the presidential motorcade gets swept off the roads. Ryan is in a helicopter trying to call Morgan Freeman, and the helicopter just gets knocked out of the sky.
It's a really well done shot. Like the whole scene is really good.
Mm.
They did it. They wiped Baltimore off the fucking map. And this is the point where I stopped paying attention to the movie because I started just thinking of names for like the part that used to be Baltimore. Like the fucking,
the wastes.
Yeah, the wastes, the Baltimore exclusion zone,
I mean,
things like.
Given that this happened about the same time that like 9/11 actually happened, you'd think they just call it Ground Zero.
They do call it Ground Zero in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
They do refer to it as Ground Zero. They said we're half a mile from Ground Zero when the radiation team's going. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
there's a fucking mushroom cloud as well. Ryan scrambles out of the helicopter and sees a mushroom cloud over Baltimore, and it's like fucking hell.
They caramelized those fucking MILFs. They did it. They fucking set off that nuke.
I'm the biggest video essayist in the world now.
Unbelievable.
We find out why this hasn't just vaporized everything, because this is a problem with doing nuclear weapons as a plot threat like this, is that nuclear weapons are actually too deadly. We find out that the nuclear device in the book it fizzles is what it does, and so it creates an explosion that is like slightly less than a Hiroshima, which is enough to only destroy the city of Baltimore. Ryan gets on the radio of the helicopter, which bullshit, that's still working.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I thought the whole point of nuclear weapons was that they did an EMP that destroys toasters. I remember Roger Moore telling us this.
Yeah, I saw it was in Roger Moore. It was in Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. All of these things that I trust as sources of information.
Of course. It's what I did instead of physics A level.
They get the president out alive and they get him onto a helicopter.
Yeah, there's a thing that I like in this scene. The Marines, they fly in and they pull the limo apart and they rescue him. And I don't know if this is intentional or not, but the way that this movie conveys radiation is
this is
up
good.
the grain
No, this is really
of the
good.
film.
I wrote this down as another putting on my fucking grading hat, another decision I really like. The entire scene where they're pulling him out in the Baltimore wasteland, the entire scene where they're pulling them out of there is really limited grey-green palette, there's a small amount of grain and noise over the whole thing. I liked it. I think it was an effective way to communicate it.
Well, the thing is, I don't know shit about cinema, which is why I do this podcast.
Oh, me neither, don't worry.
I do know a lot about esoteric weapons, and one thing I can tell you is that ionizing radiation exposure absolutely fucks with film.
Yeah,
and
it really does. It really does.
And so using film grain to convey radiation exposure is a very smart thing to do, whether you know that or not.
But anyway, so Ryan survives, and Ryan's like, look, no way the Russians did this. It wasn't Nemerov. The president's not going to believe that. So the name of the game for the rest of the film is stop the president of the United States from retaliating against the Russians and ending the world.
Yeah.
We see Nemerov get gotten out of bed, where the American president has 2 guys. He only has one guy who puts a dressing gown on and is like, oh, well, nuclear war might be starting. Do you want to come down to the bunker?
Yeah.
The president has to get on a plane. So they land the National Airborne Operations Center, the so-called Night Watch plane for him, That's bullshit. You don't land it for the president. That's the opposite of what it's for. You put him on Air Force One and he does it from there. But, okay, fine. It's a conceit, whatever. I think it's a cool plane. I just wanted to talk about it. The point is that it's flying around all the time. So if the president gets caramelized along with all the MILFs, there's a guy already up there who can do all this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's good. We get the contrast with the opening
really
sort of
good.
like fire drill
this is
thing
awesome.
because
Yeah.
everybody's panicking. The guys, like one of the guys can't get his chair to unfold and he just like throws it across the room.
This is a really good send up of like the American sense of nobility. Like, because you see the one at the start where they're all so calm, so normal, and then when it happens for real, everyone's like fully bitch made the entire way. I think it's a really, really good scene. I really like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And the president yells at everyone.
Yeah, it's good.
In fact, what he yells at everyone is,
This is too much goddamn bullshit!
which will be useful for me later on.
Yeah, perhaps.
We also see that the Nazis have a dude inside the Russian Air Force who like
Yes.
tells his guys, "Hey, the Americans just nuked Moscow. Go and attack this American aircraft carrier in retaliation."
Yeah.
which they do, and we see them almost sink it, which is again a very Clancy thing of like you can't actually have them sink it. That would be too bad.
Yeah.
So this escalates accordingly. Meanwhile, Ryan has to go and talk to, after the neo-Nazis, the second greatest enemy of America in the
Nerds?
Tom Clancy verse.
Oh,
Nerds?
nerds.
Well, I was gonna say an officious black woman.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
he goes to talk to the Air Force radiation team, and the captain in charge of that is like, yeah, take a number, we'll have a report out tomorrow. And it's like, there was a nuclear weapon. What level of bureaucracy is it plausible to expect any of these people to be on, to be like, yeah, no, wait 24 to 48 hours?
Yeah, we promise that we will get back to you within 6 months after the nuclear explosion.
It's just deeply funny
Yeah.
for there to be a
Fact,
nuke. Just be like, we have no interest in finding out where this came from, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And like the racial component of this, it makes it like a worse version of the fucking receptionist scene from fucking Crash.
Mhm.
It's really bad. But so he does end up getting her to like do what he wants, which is patch him through to I don't even remember who
He speaks
the
to
whole
some
back
nerds.
half of this movie.
Yeah.
It's just
He speaks to
this
some
guy
nerds.
is calling.
He does,
And the
yeah.
nerds tell him the plutonium from this bomb was made in the United States. This is the evidence that he needs. He goes to see Morgan Freeman, who's like, "Oh, I've been in a nuclear explosion and I'm dying. But take my Palm Pilot and talk to Michael Byrne and see
Gently
what you can
whispers
do."
Rosebud.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also whispers girlfriend, like, "Hey, is your girlfriend okay?"
Girlfriend,
Which is-
all right, how's she doing?
He's trying to wingman him even in the grips of dying.
God's perfect wingman.
She'll love it. Do close-up magic.
You gotta start drinking sparkling water. It's important.
Sparkling water. We get the best product placement in this movie, which is Ryan has to go to get to like Mason, this like school shooter looking guy, his work. And in order to do that, he steals, in the midst of a nuclear incident, an immaculate GMC truck.
Yeah, just absolutely.
This shit is
perfect.
like not a dent on it. It's perfect. He crashes it in the next scene.
Before
We
this
get, like, a
goes
shot of
any
him
further,
driving through
for
the thing.
exactly 2.5 people in the audience, maybe the way that Alice just said water there, sparkling water, while trying to do an impression
how
of
I
a
normally say
dying,
it.
like a radiation dying Andrew Tate, sounded exactly like Savior Renegade Angel.
I don't.
And that's why this is
what
for
the
two
fuck
people.
What is that? what are you talking
Don't worry
about?
about
Am I being owned
No.
here?
I don't know either. This is too deep even for me. But anyway, the United
Okay.
States and Russia are like they're on MSN chat with each other and they're like nudging each other and getting mad. And then Ryan has
Yeah,
a
the
fight with
hotline.
Mongo in the docks, which doesn't
Mhm.
really tell him anything. But he basically finds
Yeah.
out that it's Hitler too.
Yeah.
He does try some field expedient torture of the Mongo guy who just it doesn't work, which I like.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
tell
nice.
him anything.
Yeah.
So some other shit that happens. That we get sort of the strange love thing here, and this is all like it's fine. It's plausible. Lots of plausible
Tense.
series of like the thing that seems like the least crazy decision out of a set of them actually like culminates. It adds up to sort of a nightmare escalation. Where everybody's like, okay, well, we'll try like a limited conventional response, and then maybe a bigger conventional response, and then maybe like a selective response. We see Kathy, who is like treating people who have had like treating MILFs and femboy cheerleaders in her hospital. This is much nicer than it should be. I feel like you could have got some real horror here that mostly doesn't do.
Mm-hmm.
We also, of course, this being a nuke movie, we have to see a guy get fucked up by acute radiation syndrome. And so Clark, who is in Israel, I guess, goes to see the guy who put his hand on the bomb, and that guy's fucked up.
He's not even that fucked up compared to the guys in Chernobyl, but he is dying.
No. He's like become bald, and
he's got really sunken eyes.
Yeah, and he's like, it was this one guy, Olsen. The guy's really happy all the time.
It was Jerk Van der Clerk. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. We now get to a point where the Americans are going to initiate something they call snap count, which is attempt to destroy every Russian nuclear weapon in one go so that they can't retaliate. They'll be left with like 300 to 400. And then in a fantastically Strangelove line, the Secretary of Defense describes this as he's probably going to push back from the table and call it a night, which I really like. But so they launched the stealth bombers, the B-2s, in order to do this. And Tom Clancy on the director's commentary track has a bit of a meltdown about this.
Yes.
Because he refuses to accept the plot hole of how do the Russians know the stealth bombers have taken off when they're stealth bombers.
That's a good point, and it did occur to me, actually.
He really cannot get past this. It's like, I think he literally goes at one point, do you know what the word stealth means?
So good.
And it's not that consequential a plot hole, is the thing.
To be fair, if I was the Russians, I would have a guy in the ground crew.
Yeah, for sure.
It texted me. That's how I know.
So that he takes... he goes to the Pentagon. He gets flown to the Pentagon, and Ryan does. And he tries to get in, but he sees that his ID card is actually Morgan Freeman's, and it's not working. He's like swiping, and it's not working. It's not working because it's been, nuked up or whatever. And the guard, the cop there, is like escalating a situation in the way that cops do, of being like, hey, can you show me that ID card for a second? And Ryan doesn't want to do it because it's not his picture.
Ryan's like, no, it says M on it, which I'm trying to change it. It's just really complicated.
Yeah, it's an old picture. It's been a few years, and he's like tapping the card again and again.
And older.
And the cop is like fully in like, sir, step away from the thing mode.
Yeah, it's so good.
And then it just goes through, and that cop goes from like 100 miles an hour to 0. Like,
it's like,
cold.
I was like, you absolutely cannot tell me that would remove the tension.
The cop's AI switches to friendly.
The cop immediately is just like, must have been the wind, and just like walks away.
That's a bigger plot hole to me than the fucking B-2 bombers, is this cop being like, going from, okay, I have one hand on my pistol here, to, oh, well, probably nothing.
He's got like the full, like, one hand on the pistol, the other hand like holding out to stop Jack, and then it goes boop, and he just goes dun, 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 dun. Have you seen the High Elves? And you're like, all right, perfect, man, absolutely.
Do you get to the Pentagon district very often?
What am I saying?
Of course you don't.
Of course you don't.
The president's about to order the final strike. The guys are lined up. They're like, in order to activate the strike, you have to do the penis inspection. The president's like, yeah, fine. And Ryan insinuates his way into the Pentagon and gets on the hotline, which is like a teletype. And he starts texting the Russian president.
You are.
He was wearing, by the way, a sick turtleneck.
Yeah, he rules. He looks cool.
Kieran Hines loves a turtleneck, I've noticed.
Also, they do the same thing that they did in Red October, where the inside of the American command is on Air Force One, which is really brightly lit, and everyone you can see everything. Inside of the Russian nuclear bunker looks like the inside of a Klingon warbird. Everything's like green and red, and there's like beeping, and it looks evil.
Really insane.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to read anything in there. It's really dark. But so he talks both sides out of nuclear war at once by talking about how nuclear weapons aren't at risk of being used in anger, but out of fear and fear of the past. And we gotta, get away from this. And also I can prove it was Hitler too.
Yeah, it's quite a good theme actually. He's like, look, these massive weapons are being used not out of any sense of strategy or kind of military advantage, but just out of fear. And I was like, that is actually quite a good message. Probably also applies to a lot of what the CIA did. And also a lot of the conventional military, but okay, good.
Oh, sure. We got to kill this democratic reformer just in case shit gets too hostile for us, that kind of thing. But so President James James Cromwell, he gets snapped out of being bad president back into being good president.
Because the Russians stand down.
He calls off the strike. He like puts his dick back away. And in a sort of like very good president move, he's like, "Oh, can I use the phone now that Jack Ryan's off of it?"
Yeah, everyone's like,
there's a little joke.
Everyone's like violence level just goes down. Another two, they'll reset to friendly.
Yeah.
Jack Ryan's dialogue skill was 100, and he just talked them out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan goes to see Kathy, and she's just fine.
She's fine. Don't worry.
She's been tracing people who have been like melted and like torn up by broken glass all day.
She goes on to have 2 children, so she's really fine.
She's so fine. She's finer than anyone has any right to be.
She doesn't even seem tired.
Yeah. She looks very good considering she's just been in a nuclear explosion.
She's
I hope I look half as good when I am.
Perturbed.
And then we see that the 2 presidents sign a big treaty together. And we get
Godfather.
These scenes are the most insane thing I've ever. This is the weird.
The scene title in the synopsis is literally called "Business Gets Handled."
Right? It's genuinely the most insane like loose ends tie up I've ever seen in a fucking movie.
Raising a glass once again after Air Force One to the specter of Russian-American joint black operations.
They're literally playing Nessun Dorma. It's just
a thing that people have wanted to do forever and has never happened.
Oh, God.
John Clark kills the guy in Damascus.
They're playing Pavarotti over all of this. I cannot stress this enough for the audience, but they're playing Pavarotti while like dudes get fucking ice cubed 24/7.
The Russian dude who ordered the strike gets fucking got like Miller's Crossing.
Yeah, it's 2 dudes like fully the like Dutch angle of upwards of 2 dudes pulling triggers. Like, and then the Jerk Van der Klerk gets his dome knifed. He gets his throat slit by Carter. Yeah, he's
Hitler
like,
too.
Wait, is this music? Is it in the movie or is it not?
Is it are you diegetic or not, motherfucker?
That's the fucking word. It's because like it's playing over the whole thing, but then when we cut to Olsen, he's like pretend maestroing it. Thank you. I've got words in my mind. So is he?
He dies, and then Hitler 2 tries to outwit them. Hitler 2 is like, okay, they're gonna try and kill me with a car bomb. Well, I'll have my guy get in, start the car while I'm across the street, and when it doesn't explode, I'll get in and drive off.
Yeah.
Hitler 2 has also been smoking the whole time, and the vending machine's like a cigarette vending machine. His guy starts up the car, doesn't explode.
I really enjoy his guy starting the car as like the most nervous cunt on God's earth. The way he's like, oh, thank God. I really enjoyed that.
But Hitler 2 gets in the car, then he hits the cigarette lighter, and of course explodes.
It's the most insane villain death I've seen since The Rock. Maybe even more so.
It was smart. I liked it. I liked the lighter.
But it was Michael Byrne. Michael Byrne looks on in a flat cap and goes, ha ha ha, I'm Michael Byrne.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Michael Byrne has to do one more I'm Michael Byrne thing, where he sees Jack and Kathy outside the White House, and he's like, hey, maybe I can be a confidential source to you now. And also, you're going to get engaged. Here's a present. And they have not told anyone about this. And they're like, how do you know? And he's like, communist magic. And that's the
What if a mole was your dad? What if that? Let's think about that for a minute here.
I mean, what if you had to fucking show a guy a dick to launch the nukes?
What if they'd reduced Baltimore to a slag heap? What if it was formerly called the former Baltimore Memorial Wasteland?
No, they would call it like the Morgan Freeman Memorial Baltimore Wasteland.
The glowing sea. Just
yeah. I mean,
don't worry about it.
This movie's got a lot of misogyny in it.
Oh yeah.
In that all of the tough decisions are made by men, even when women have like serious jobs. They're either your mum or like something that happens off screen, and then they're fine. They just handle that shit. Women be just internally handling shit,
it's
which is a rare sort of like
It's just the scene where like, all the men get up and leave because something important's happened, and like it's just so like the visual language is just the important men have gone now, and now it's women.
Now it's women's hour here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah, the First Lady gets up and starts doing bits about women. Yeah, that's good.
What does it say about masculinity? It's probably not good to like be too macho, otherwise you might destroy all life on Earth. But on the other hand, you have to.
Well, also that it masks fear, which I think is quite true.
No, it's
true.
almost good. Jack Ryan does give a speech, and it's not to the extent of the "How dare you, sir" speech, which is an all-time high for this podcast and indeed humanity. But it is a good speech where he's just yelling about like how everyone's too afraid to step down, so it's just going to inexorably like continue to get worse and worse. And it's fine. It is delivered in a very cringe manner, but it's not wrong.
It's a shame that they don't really engage with fascism in the 21st century. Like, it's a shame that nobody at the end is like, because at the end the Russian and the American presidents are like, we got to work together and like not kill each other. But it's a shame that no one goes and also deal with the Nazis, right? Because it turns out they're back. Like, it's a shame they don't really interrogate that.
Well, because we killed them. We killed Hitler too, so it's over. I also see why this is sort of its own thing. Why this reboot didn't last is because one of the weirder features of the Tom Clancy, the Ryan verse, if you will, is that you have to do it in a world where 9/11 didn't happen, but Baltimore no longer exists, and also the U.S. Capitol got 9/11.
9/11 didn't happen, but there is no longer Baltimore.
Yeah, there's just the wastes.
You're watching The Wire in this timeline. I'm sorry, halfway through season 1, something happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great media that won't be coming out of Baltimore. But we have a science-based system on this podcast.
It's called the SCUM system. It stands for SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, misogyny. How smarmy is this movie?
Not nearly as smarmy as I think, for instance, Clear and Present Danger was. It's not quite
not as smarmy as it might have been.
Yes, very true.
I think it's
not even as kind of like, oh, America, as it could have been.
Yeah. I'd say pretty low. Like I don't want to go to like a 2, but I could do a 3 for this.
Okay, good 3.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Cultural insensitivity.
Russians are warmongers, except when they want to be American. Arabs are stupid. What else? I think those are the 2 big hits of like racism in this movie.
Yeah, or like a Fisher's black woman.
Oh fuck, you suck. You're so right. Yeah, and I was the one who brought that up too.
How do we feel about a 4 or a 5?
It's bad, but I would say a 4.
It's nice. Well, I say it's nice. It's different that it's broad. At least that we're insulting lots of different groups of people rather than picking one punching bag.
You wouldn't have used that excuse with Bond.
I did use that excuse with Bond on one occasion, in fact.
Yeah, and it was bad then.
It was bad then too.
It's bad now.
Unprovoked violence. There's a little bit of torture. It doesn't work though.
Yeah, it seems sort of more as like frustration than anything
Genuinely
else.
not a ton of unprovoked violence. In fact, as always, Jack Ryan is attempting to stop any violence from occurring. So
yeah,
he stops Clark from killing those 2 Ukrainian guys.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And also, the film is kind of about how violence can appear justified even when it isn't, as a result of decision making going wrong. So 1 or 2 or
shit.
I think that the only sort of
I'd say 1
think
even.
It might be a 1, legitimately.
Okay.
Now, only because the misogyny of it is that violence is bad. Now, misogyny, on the other hand, take it away.
Women really do be not working in important jobs. Even when they're in the CIA, they're mostly there to be like, great job, by the way, I'm pregnant. Even when they're doctors, they're mostly there to be like, I love you so much, let's get married.
Yes. Very much emphasizing the role of care in being a doctor, which in my experience is a fucking joke.
We've seen in previous things, she's an eye surgeon.
Yeah. We see her scrubbing up in this one, but even then she's talking about boys while she does it.
Yeah, this shit does not pass the Bechdel test at all.
No.
I don't know if it even passes the corollary that I invented that one time.
No, it's bad. Again, like most of the Ryan stuff, it's like misogyny of omission rather than commission. Nobody like turns to the camera and goes like, "Oh, women are silly," but they're not like serious actors. I would say 5. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that gives us a total score of 13, which is the best Jack Ryan film. Just
It's not the best one to watch,
No.
but morally, I'm afraid it's incontrovertible.
It's got
So
the
far,
most scenes
so
where
far.
I have earnestly said I like the way this one is done.
Yes, that's
the movie, not great. I like the grading. I think the good
It's
decisions
half
with
what
the
Clear and
grading.
Present Danger got, so at least they're getting better.
Yeah, fucking hell,
God,
Jesus
yeah, and
Christ.
at least we don't have to deal with like Willem Dafoe's John Clark.
There's only one Jack Ryan film left now as well.
They did, yeah. There's Shadow Recruit from 2014, but last year they did do a John Clark movie, and I don't know if we want to toss it on the end as a victory lap
Did
as well.
they?
They did.
Oh,
Michael
God,
B. Jordan
I will
as
do.
John Clark.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That would be
With
very
Michael Remorse.
interesting. I do actually
Yeah,
want to see that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's interesting because of like the ways in which Clancy writes about John Clark and the kinds of masculinity he's supposed to do. All right, we're
Wonderful.
very quickly going to become Kill John Clark. But so the next one then, the next mainline episode is going to be Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, which means the next bonus is going to be Kung Fu Hustle, right?
Have we ever tried to kill someone whose first name didn't begin with a J?
Not yet, but we'll get there.
They're going to run out of J's at some point.
What's the guy in Mission Impossible called?
Ethan Hunt.
Ethan!
Yeah,
we're
going to
gonna
kill Ethan Hunt.
We'll get to him at some stage.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point, as later down the line.
Yes, we'll get
We'll
to him. In the
get to you.
meantime, thank you for listening to Kill James Bond. We have a Patreon. You can subscribe
Subscribe to it. If you ever want us to not detonate these nuclear weapons that we have stolen, sign up to the Kill James
That's
Bond
right.
Patreon.
That's right.
right.
That's right.
In the meantime, we don't have anything to like award for this movie. No rosettes. No medals,
Nothing came out at me.
actually.
There's no one who has a one-scene thing. I miss my Kronsteins. I miss my Kaufmans.
Actually, no. You know what? Kronstein to the French guy who's like, actually, I think we should maybe not be in the plan anymore. That guy, I think he deserves it.
He's a good night cross because he decides to not do the
Oh,
plan.
fuck, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, good night, Cross. Okay, good. Excellent. Well, bye.
Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. That's right, I am back. Do not you worry. They couldn't keep me away for that long. The next episode of Kill James Bond in 2 weeks' time is, of course, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, where, as they were wont to do in the mid-2010s, they rebooted a series and gave it to one of the Hollywood Chris's to deal with. I literally don't recall which one. But if that is simply too long for you to wait, then we have a Patreon, patreon.com/killjamesbond, all one word, where next week, on the bonus feed, Kung Fu Hustle. And special thanks, of course, to our £15 and above patrons, speaking of, who are Christine Fox, Fox Winchester, Jack Holmes, Paint McCullough, George Rohack, Thomas Oberhart, Nick Boris, Yarrick, Carolyn Tankersley, Benno Rice, Morgan Bennett, Kit Devine, Library Hitman, Max Gamenhart, Jonathan Gerdes, Dread Pirate Robin, J. Martindale, Saphira Lucifera, X has gone from the end of Lucifer X, Kentucky Fried Commie, Hell Bloodhands, Fremen Commissar Jen, Mothman, Top O, Big Titty Goth Girl, Ellie without the E, Trip, Sydney Steckle, Charlie Out of the Closet, Jenna and Poor, Elizabeth Cox, Turfs Eat Shit and Die Alone, Zoe Shepherd, Finn Ross, Alfredo, I make Devon say this out loud, Al Irwing, Ryle Leal, Wolfie, Millie, Josh Simmons, Bon LeBon, JM 111519, Lauren Baston, Tristan Wolf, Emily is sorry about last time, I don't recall, so I forgive you naturally, and Quinn Valeri. Thank you. Kill James Bond is, of course, Alice, Abigail, and Devon. Our producer is the wonderful Nate Bethay. Our podcast art is by Matty Lubchansky, and our website is by Tom Allen. See ya.